The State of Kuwait. History and interesting facts. Kuwait. Officially, the State of Kuwait is a country in the Middle East. It is situated in the northern edge of eastern Arabia at the tip of the Persian Gulf, bordering Iraq to the north and Saudi Arabia to the south. Kuwait shares maritime borders with Islamic Republic of Iran. Kuwait has a coastal length of approximately 500 kilometers. Most of the country's population reside in the capital and largest city, Kuwait City. Kuwait has a population of 4.45 million people, of which 1.45 million are Kuwaiti citizens, while the remaining 3 million are foreign nationals from over 100 count. Historically, Kuwait was part of ancient Mesopotamia. Before the discovery of oil, Kuwait was a small trade port. Oil reserves were discovered in commercial quantities in 1938. In 1946, they started the export of oil. From 1946 to 1982, the country underwent large-scale modernization, primarily based on income from oil production and export revenue. In the 1980s, Kuwait experienced a geopolitical instability and an economic crisis. In 1990, after disputes with neighboring Iraq, Kuwait was invaded and later annexed into Iraq by Saddam Hussein. The Iraqi occupation of Kuwait came to an end on February 1991 after military intervention by a military coalition led principally by the United States and other allies. As a Persian Gulf Arab state, Kuwait is an emirate. The emir is the head of state. The Saba family rules and dominates the political system. Kuwait's state religion is Islam. Kuwait is a developing country with a high-income economy, backed by the world's sixth largest oil reserves. In 1899, ruler Sheikh Mubarak Saba signed an agreement with Britain, making Kuwait a British protectorate. This gave Britain exclusive access and trade with Kuwait, while denying Ottoman on the Persian Gulf. Kuwait remained a British protectorate until 1961. During World War I, the British Empire imposed a trade blockade against Kuwait because Kuwait's ruler then, Salim Mubarak Saba, supported the Ottoman Empire. The British economic blockade damaged Kuwait's economy. In 1919, Sheikh Salim Mubarak Saba intended to build a commercial city in Kuwait. This caused a diplomatic crisis with Najd, following the victory at Kuwait-Najd War. In 1919-20, Ibn Saud continued a trade blockade against Kuwait from the years 1923 until 1937. Kuwait's pearl industry had led the world's luxury market, regularly sending out between 750 and 800 ships to meet the European elite's desire for pearls. During the economic depression, pearls were in little demand. The Japanese cultured pearls also contributed to the collapse of Kuwait's pearl. Attempts made by King Faisal of Iraq to build a railway to Kuwait and port facilities on the Gulf were rejected by Britain. These and other similar colonial policies made Kuwait a focus of the Arab national movement in Iraq. Throughout the 1930s, Kuwaiti people opposed the British-imposed separation of Kuwait from Iraq. In 1938, the Free Kuwaiti movement was established by Kuwaitis who opposed British rule and submitted a petition requesting the Iraqi government reunifies Kuwait and Iraq. Saba agreed to the unification. By 1952, the country became the largest oil exporter in the Persian Gulf region and started massive growth. It was also in 1952 that the first master plan of Kuwait was designed by the British planning firm Kuwait's press was described as one of the freest in the world. In June 1961, Kuwait became independent with the end of the British Protectorate, and the Sheikh Abdullah al-Salam al-Sabah became Emir of Kuwait. Kuwait's National Day, however, is celebrated on 25 February, the anniversary of the coronation of Sheikh Abdullah. It was originally on 19 June, the date. In July 1961, as the Iraqi government threatened to invade Kuwait, and the invasion was finally averted. As a result of Operation Vantage, the Arab League took over the border security of Kuwait, and the British had withdrawn their forces by October 1961. A treaty of friendship between Iraq and Kuwait was signed in 1963, by which Iraq recognized the 1932 border of Kuwait. Under the terms of the drafted constitution, Kuwait held its first parliamentary elections in 1963. Kuwait University was established in 1966. After the 1967 Six-Day War, Kuwait, along with other Arabic-speaking countries, voted the Khartoum Resolution: no peace with Israel, no recognition of Israel, and no negotiations with Israel. In 1974, Palestinian militants occupied the Japanese embassy in Kuwait, taking the ambassador and 10 others hostage, known as the Laju Incident. The hostages were released and the guerrillas allowed to fly to Aden. Some element of THR ruling family funded the Palestinian resistance. During the Iran-Iraq War, Kuwait ardently supported Iraq. As a result, there were various pro-Iran terror attacks, including the 1983 bombings, the attempted assassination of Emir Jabbar in May 1985, the 1985 Kuwait City bombings, and the hijacking of several Kuwait Airways planes. After the Iran-Iraq War ended, Kuwait declined an Iraqi request to forgive its $65 billion debt in 1990, after Iraq complained to OPEC, claiming that Kuwait was stealing its oil from a field near the border by slant drilling of the Rumaila field. In August 1990, Iraqi forces invaded and annexed Kuwait. The United States led a coalition to remove the Iraqi forces from Kuwait as the Gulf War. The coalition succeeded in driving out the Iraqi forces. Kuwait celebrates February 26 as Liberation Day. In 2003, Kuwait became the springboard for the US-led invasion of Iraq. Upon the death of the Emir Jabbar in 2006, Sheikh Sabah Ahmad al-Jabbar al-Sabah was sworn in as Emir. Since then, Kuwait suffered from deadlock between the government and parliament, which resulted in multiple cabinet reshuffles. Due to declining oil prices, Kuwait faced one of the worst economic crunches in its history. Simultaneously, Kuwait invested significantly in its economic relations with China, who has been Kuwait's largest trade partner since 2016. Under the Belt and Road Initiative, Kuwait and China have various cooperation projects, including the Sheikh Jabbar Ahmad al-Sabah Causeway is part of the first phase of the Silk City project. 199 The causeway was inaugurated in May 2019 to connect Kuwait City to northern Kuwait. In October 2020, Sheikh Mishal Ahmad al-Jabbar al-Sabah was appointed as the Crown Prince, and in December 2023 as Emir of Kuwait. Kuwait currently has the largest American military presence in the Middle East. There are over 14,000 American military personnel stationed in Kuwait. The American use bases in Kuwait as staging hubs and logistical support for its Middle East operations. Kuwait has land borders with Iraq and Saudi Arabia. and shares maritime borders with Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. Kuwait is one of the smallest countries in the world in terms of land area. Kuwait has 10 islands, with an area of 860 square kilometers. The Bubiyan is the largest island in Kuwait. It has sparse vegetation found along its 499-kilometer long coastline. Kuwait City is located on Kuwait Bay, a natural deep-water harbor. Kuwait's Bergen oil field has a total capacity of nearly 70 billion barrels of proven oil reserves. During the 1991 Kuwaiti oil fires, more than 500 oil lakes were created. The resulting oil and soot accumulation has made those areas uninhabitable.